All right. Hello and good day, everybody. Hope we are all doing good. Well, welcome to another live stream where we go over our mixes and then we review them. Everybody comments on how to improve and how to make them better. All right. So if you have not submitted your tracks, okay, we got a couple of tracks right here. Okay, I think we got 1, 2, 5, 6 tracks. Okay, are submitted here. So if you have not done that, there is the submission link is in the description of this video. Okay, so you can go ahead and click on that to submit your track. Even while the video is still live, you can still go ahead and submit your tracks right there through the link. Okay, so we all know the rules. Okay, just submit your tracks. All right, and then we'll go over one by one, listening to each song, and then we are going to be giving our feedbacks on how to improve them, how to make them better, how to make them stand out, and for the ones that are very outstanding, how to actually make them more outstanding, because there is technically always something more you can do when it comes to music and art in general. All right, so without further ado and without wasting any more time, let's jump right straight into the first song that we have right here, which is Crystal Pulse. Okay, and then let's go ahead and listen to that. Nice, nice. All right, so first of all, before we go further, let me just go ahead and be saying what I need to say right off the bat. Okay, this has been beautiful so far, like really, really beautiful and outstanding. All right, it is amazing. The whole mix is good. The whole mix sound awesome. But this chorus, I'm not really well, let's say I'm not really a fan of it. Okay, I feel it can be more full technically. Okay, since there's no vocals in it, it can be fuller, and I'm not really a fan of the synth or the lead that was used at that position. It's not really giving me that oomph that is required, that I need, that I can hear, and I feel that there are still some gaps that can be filled to make it balanced and really sound as full as possible. And another very little thing I think I noticed is that I think is the pluck sound, dun 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 dun, dun, something like that. I think at some point in the track it should be held back a bit, because I think it kept on playing and playing and playing, and at some point I just kind of had this feeling of, okay, can I hear something different apart from that sound, even though yes, there were all other sounds that came in also. Okay, but at some point, if you can just maybe just hold back on that particular instrument, then bring it back in again with more instruments and everything, it's going to be a whole lot better. All right, so that is the one thing I noticed, and well, we are going to continue listening, and then let's see how it goes from there. bass is missing here. I feel the bass is missing at this point. Maybe that is a deliberate choice, but I felt the emptiness of the low end at this point, and it's kind of felt empty to me, just to me. Okay, I feel that the bass should have continued, like the way it was before then, like the way it was here. The bass should have just continued. The 808 should have just continued. Okay, but fine, it's fine. Alright, it brought it back in the down. Wow. 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 Amazing. Wow. Such a very wonderful way to start this off. This was really, really beautiful. And I still go by the same things that I said before, regarding the repetition of the first verse. Okay, I think I prefer the second verse. The way the twist and everything, it was beautiful. It was unexpected kind of, and it brought us back into the whole the whole flow of the song, and it was just amazing. All right, but I'm still going back again on the what I said about the chorus part. That's lead sound. I'm not really a fan of it, and I feel that the chorus can be a little more balanced. Okay, all right. So think that just needs some maybe layering or something. I don't know, or maybe just to switch the sound itself. The main sound itself should be switched to something better and something more full. Okay, that particular lead in the chorus just sounds a bit thin. But aside that, this is an amazing track. This is a really, really amazing track. All right, like I said earlier, this is a very wonderful way to start the stream. All right, let's see what next we have for us right here. Wonderful, really, really wonderful. All right, so on to the next one. I feel those hi hats are too loud. Okay, I feel those hi hats are too loud. All right, okay. This is another nice one too. The production is actually, the person is not really. The person has quite knowledge in mixing and everything and production in general. Okay, so first I noticed that the chorus is also a bit it can be more full. Okay, except there is plans to add vocals on it. Okay, I feel that there are some pockets that can be filled technically. Okay, especially with some sounds and some ear candy all around everywhere. Okay, I think you can just play around with some sounds and just make it a bit more full. And you can also do that by also layering some of the melodies that are already currently in the track. You can just maybe stack up some more instruments on top of it to make it more full. Okay, that is one thing you can do. Okay, and another thing I noticed that, like I said, the hi hats, okay, were a little bit too loud. And personally, I'm not really a fan of the hi hat sound selection. Okay, I feel that a better hi hat can really stand out and make it better technically. Okay, but that's just, I think, my opinion, and I feel that's going to make it better to some extent. All right. Okay, but that is my observation so far. Nothing too off, nothing too bad, nothing um too not good. It's just a little tweaks here and there, and it's just going to make this stand out or make this better. Kind of like that, right, Zach? It can be full, like, it can be fuller. Okay, nice. Nice, really nice. All right, so one other thing I noticed is from the second verse is in arranging songs, it's a very good tip to not always have the first verse exactly the same thing as the second verse. It's not a bad thing to do. It is very normal. There are people that do this in every time. Okay, but most of the time, for like the way we heard just the first track, okay, the second verse was entirely something totally different. But you don't necessarily need to go that route of making it entirely different. Okay, you can just actually just tweak the arrangement a bit. Add maybe a new instrument or take away some instruments or just maybe twist about the arrangement. It just makes it sound different and make the listener more interested in what is been what is being played. Okay, it just makes it more interesting. Like I said, I'm referencing the first track because the first track is the the most extreme example you can ever have, because the first verse and the second verse were just completely like A and B, like they're totally different, totally different. Okay, but like I said earlier, you don't need to really go that route of making it totally different. You can just make a few tweaks here and there, and it's definitely just going to stand out. Like it's just going to make it a whole lot better. Okay, but like I said, the first half is still the same thing as the second half, so there's really nothing new again that just came in. It's just like I said, the drums. In fact, the drums in general and the hi hats were a bit loud. Okay, I think they need to be controlled. Okay, one thing that you can also do is you can route all your individual elements of your drums. Okay, just put it to a bus channel. Okay, that's route everything to one channel, and then you now like mix add effects on that particular channel itself. Okay, so that it can the whole drumming entirely can stand out and sound better. That thing actually helps and it does a whole lot of magic that you'll be surprised. Most of your problems in just raising all the volumes of the drums and everything can just simply be solved by routing everything to a drum bus and processing that drum bus to sound better in the entire mix. So that is something that you can do. And I also said something about the hi-hat sample. I'm not really a fan of that. Okay, I feel that there can be something better to stand out at that position. and then lastly the chorus. Okay, I just feel that it can be more full, and it can sound way more fuller and better than how it is now. But in general, this was an amazing track. Okay, it has a whole lot of potential. Seriously, it has great, 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 great potential. All right, so that is that for that. And let's go over to the next track that we have right here. All right, that is this right here. Okay, why is it not playing? Does this song have an issue? Okay, it's playing now. Yeah, here we go. I love the use of the vocals in the track. Really amazing. Nice. Nice. Mm, mm. All right. This was another nice one. Oh, really nice. Really, really nice. Okay, so I think most the correction I'm going to give here is similar to just the ones that we just listened to. Okay, like I said, the climax in this place is not really doing justice to climaxing. All right, I'm not being led. I love how it started. I love the journey it took us through, but getting to the peak, it's now like not what I expected the peak to be like. Okay, I was expecting to get somewhere, and I technically didn't get there. And one thing that can help, just like almost the same thing I said in the previous one, is like layering different sounds together to make the track full. As there is no vocals in this song, which if there were vocals, it should have been a whole different story. But if as long as there are no vocals, you need to make it sound as full as possible. All right, so it is not. I can still feel a whole lot of pockets of space here and there that can be, filled with so many more instruments. All right, and doing that, makes it immerses the listener into the track and just makes it sound a whole lot better. So going back a bit, Okay. Here is beautiful. This point, it still sounds very, very empty. Okay, not very empty, not totally empty. Okay, but I just feel that there can be a whole lot of, momentum that can come into this portion that is lacking currently. All right, and it's beautiful. Okay, but it can just, that little more step can just, make it a whole lot better than it is now. And in general, this is a wonderful track and a nice track, but there's still, it has the potential for a whole lot of greatness, and just those little tweaks here and there can, make this sound a whole lot better. And another thing I noticed, okay, is that I feel that the drum, the kick, okay, the low end technically is a bit teeny bit too loud. Okay, I think this is just my opinion, but I feel that, okay, that feel just a teeny bit, like a very, very little bit too loud, and it can be notched down a little bit. Okay, well, aside that, every other thing is nice. I love the arrangement. I love the concept of the track. I love the, like I said, as it was playing. I love the use of the vocal chops and everything. The hey, the hey sound, and the, the vocal in the background and everything. It's just beautiful. Nice, nice, really, really nice work on this track. It's an amazing track, really amazing. All right, so, well, that is my feedback for that, and then let's go over to the next one. All right, so on to the next one we go. Yeah, we have this right here. Let's have a listen. Hmm.
What you doing today? Hope you're doing okay every day. What's left of us is the picture of you holding my hand all night when it's all good. But then I guess everything is not right when you started talking nonsense all night. But then I guess everything falling apart when I saw you with her in the car. And this is a goodbye for you, 'cause I say my goodbye to you. We'll take your bitter pills and never ever coming back to me. You said I'll stick around to you, be your friend after what you choose to do. We had destroy all the love I have for you.
Wow, there are so many nice tracks in this stream today. It's really amazing. All right, so this is another nice one. This is another nice one. This is another nice one. All right, so obviously there are still some things that can be improved here and there. All right, so beginning, starting from the top, I loved the intro. I loved the guitar. Okay, that was an amazing sound. Okay, and the water droplets or whatever that is, that's the water. Nice, really nice.
What you doing today?
All right, so the very first thing I'm gonna say is about the vocals. All right, the vocals is nice, but it's lacking a bit of, punch. Okay, it's not cutting through the mix entirely. It's not cutting through the mix really well. Okay, and I don't know. I think it's about something to do with the mid frequencies. Okay, it's like it's I don't know if that is extra panned. Okay, it's extra wide. It's not really standing out, and you actually notice it a whole lot when when the chorus comes in technically, because the chorus just drowns everything. Like you can barely, very, very barely hear what the vocals actually saying. Okay, and it just needs a little bit more processing think that's the right one to use. Okay, so it's so that it can, cut through the mix better. Okay, maybe by compression, so that all those levels can come out and come out well. And also the EQ, try increasing some, boosting some frequencies, most especially that's mid range. Okay, try boosting some frequencies and then know which area needs to come out so that it can be more clear, so that the clarity can come out well, because it is kind of lacking some clarity there. All right. And then one other thing I really noticed that really stood out for me, there was an instrument that was added at some point. Okay, let me just go and play it so that I can find a particular point.
Every day, what's left of us is the picture of you holding my hand all night when it's all good. But then I guess everything is
Yes,
not right.
that sound that came in. First of all, it came in too loud. Okay, it came in way too loud. All right, and then second of all, it's not gluing well with the track. Okay, it's not gluing well. It's sounding separate. Okay, it's sounding something different from the vibe that we have been feeling from the beginning of the track to this point. So, like I said, when I heard it, I was like, okay, this sound stands out, not in a too good way. Okay, not like it's in a bad way, but I think better sound can, sound selection, just selecting a better sound at this point can actually do way more justice to this particular portion. All right, it might not really be necessarily be this sound, maybe something softer. Like I said, it was too loud, definitely. So you have to take the volume down a bit, okay, so that it balances well and fits well into the entire track. Okay, so I think just switching that up a bit and coming up with something better can, significantly improve that. Okay, so that's something I noticed about that section.
When you started talking nonsense all night, but then I guess everything falling apart.
Come to think of it, like now I'm listening again, the vocals, it's actually not. It doesn't need that really much. Doesn't really need much like processing. Okay, I think just a very little few tweaks here and there. Definitely, it needs some processing. Okay, just a very very little tweaks here and there can actually make this vocal like way better. Okay, a little, just little things here and there, maybe a little bit of compression. Okay, and saturation also. Okay, can actually do a whole lot of justice to this, because you know it's like a standout vocal effect where it doesn't really need to be that upfront. Okay, I think it just blends and fits the track very very well. Okay, so I think that can be your, like, your uniqueness. Okay, that can be like your unique sound. All right, so just a very very few tweaks here and there, just so that it's actually is very very clear in the mix. Okay, so that's just something you can do to the vocals.
So you with her in the car, and this is a goodbye for you. 'Cause I say goodbye to you. Take your bitter pills and never ever coming back to me. You said I'll stick around to you.
Like at this point now, you can hear that the whole entire track is just drowning the vocal, like just drowning the vocal throughout, and the vocal is getting lost. Okay, so that's why I said that just a few tweaks here and there can just bring that vocal up and just make it clearer and then fit better in the mix.
Your friend after what you choose. Don't you what we had and destroy all the love I have for you. Oh.
Nice, nice, nice. So that is another nice track. Okay, just a few adjustments here and there, and this is gonna be a whole lot better, a whole lot better. Nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one. Wow, all the tracks have been so amazing for this particular stream. Okay, so we are going on to the next one that we have right here. Okay, I don't seem to know why this thing's actually slow. Probably network. Okay, let's just give it a few seconds. Sorry about the delay. Okay, here it goes. What the hell just happened? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start this over again. So it's breaking too much. Okay, take this back, take this back. Here we go. Okay, so I think this whole stream is gonna be back to back amazing tracks. Nice, nice. All right, so for this beautiful, beautiful. I like everything about it. There's technically nothing much I'm going to go ahead and change and tweak here. Okay, everything just sounds okay, but I think the bass should go little bit down. Okay, I think it's a bit too much in my own opinion. Okay, but aside that, every other thing sounds fine to me. Every other thing sounds fine to me. Okay, so there's really nothing much I can really say about this. All right, I really loved it. I loved the whole high pass filter, low pass filter, whatever effect, one of the two that was happening at this point where you kind of like closed it out, then brought it open again in the second verse. Okay, beautiful. But one tip, like I said earlier, about how you arrange your tracks, okay, that is making the verse one and the verse two a bit different. Okay, you kind of technically did that here with the low pass filter. Okay. Okay, I think you actually kind of did that because the 808 was also not present. Okay, but obviously you can do more and make it more obvious by adding some new instruments. Okay, just making it stand out a bit more, right? But this is beautiful, beautiful. Everything about this is beautiful. All right, so good work on that. Just need to work on that low end a bit. Okay, touch some sounds, just a few tweaks here and there, and this will be. I'm trying to say perfect, but technically, I'm not sure anything is perfect when it comes to music, you know. Okay, but this is really really nice. This is really nice. This is really really nice. All right, so we are going to go ahead and go over to the last track. Okay, for this particular stream, this has actually been a fun time, guys. Okay, but this is the last track for this particular stream. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to what we have right here. Okay, so the very first thing I'm just going to be saying this as they come, okay? First thing I'm going to say is that the drums are a little bit not punchy enough. Let me just use that word, okay? I'm not a really good fan of the snare or the clap or which one of them, okay? I think something better can naturally come in at that point, right? And the drums are not just cutting through the mix. So this is just something similar to a tip I gave earlier. I don't know for which particular, I think the second song or so, okay? That you can route all your individual drums to a bus channel, okay, and you now process that bus channel. It does, I don't know how to explain this, but it does a whole lot of magic that sometimes you cannot just explain, okay, because sometimes you might be trying to tweak the individual kick and snare and everything to be balanced and cut through the mix, and everything should stand out. Route everything to one bus channel, process that bus channel, and it's like as if everything, like a magic wand, and everything just sits perfectly. Okay, so that's just something you can actually do, and it helps a lot. It helps a ton. Okay, and that's something that can help your track stand out way more. Okay, so that's something you can try out. In this track, it needs it extremely, okay, because the drums and the kick and the snares are just, they are not giving us that oomph that is required in the track. All right, so that is just one thing I noticed. Aside that, it's a beautiful track so far. said I will say this as it's coming. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, but at this point, it's I know it's different, yes, but it's still kind of feeling a bit repetitive. Okay, I don't know. Sometimes we say that as you're going, you should take out some instruments, bring in some instruments, but this thing is something that you get better as you do it, as you practice, you get better. As you practice, you improve. And there are loopholes in some roles. Okay, like at this point, that major sound, ta-ta-ta-ta, okay, I think that particular sound is the one that should actually go off because that is the main focus of that's what we have been hearing. Okay, so when that continues, even though there was a change in the instruments, I think. Okay, I think you took out some instruments, right? It still sounds repetitive, kind of, because we are still hearing that same thing that we have been hearing all this while. Okay, so you can actually just take off that sound, okay, and then let the other one sit in the track, then maybe bring it back later in the chorus or something to make it, let us miss it for some time. Okay, we have been hearing it for too long, right? So that's something that you can do to, make the track more interesting because I was expecting something different and still hearing that same track and be like, okay, where is this heading to? That is exactly what came into my mind, and I should not be thinking about that while listening to your music, right? So that's something you can actually work on over there. Okay, the same thing I'm gonna say regarding the first, I think, two tracks before now. The chorus here is also lacking. The whole concept is nice, the whole planning and everything is nice. Okay, you can work on the arrangement a bit. Okay, but this chorus needs more layers to, make it actually stand out more. All right, and I feel the chorus is not doing justice to the previous the whole build up it has gotten to this point. Okay, it needs to come in with more force and come in with more depth. Let's feel it. Okay, so at this point I'm not it's there, but it's not getting me to that peak where I want to get to. Alright, and it's not about increasing the volume technically, it's just about filling up the frequency spectrum so that there are no, pockets here and there. Like I said, I think I've said like twice now in this stream. If there are vocals here, it would be a whole different scenario, okay? Because vocals are like instruments and they cover a whole range of frequencies, so they can, fill in all these portions that are kind of empty, and we technically might not even notice it. Okay, but now that there are no vocals, everything boils down to how the beat sounds and how balanced everything is. All right, so filling up the frequency spectrum is very very important, especially when it comes to just working on beats alone. If you are working on a beat and the beat, the end product of the beat is to add a vocal on it, that is a whole different scenario. Okay, you need to leave space for the vocals to sit in. Okay, if not, you might be going through a hard time trying to fit in the vocals into that track. Okay, but in this case, I don't know if there are plans for vocals, good and fine. Okay, but if there are not plans for vocals, okay, it is something that you can, layer up, stack up a whole lot of, not a whole lot, but a good number of instruments, okay, to make the chorus have that effect of actually a chorus. Okay, and then cut through the mix. Okay, and now you might be wondering, there are some tracks that are kind of laid back. They have just very few instruments and they still sound full. Yes. Okay, that's just the beauty of sound. Like I said, it's an art, and there are some things that you just have time just has to tell you. You just have to learn from experience. Okay, let me just put it that way. Experience has to tell you, okay, when is it full with fewer instruments, and when do I actually need to layer a whole lot of instruments on top of it for it to, actually stand out. All right, it's something that as you proceed, as you gain more experience, you get better at doing and making all these decisions. All right, but for this particular track, it requires a bit more layers to, stand out and cut through the mix. All right, so let's just go ahead and finish up, and then let's see how it ends. at this point the verse it's too long. Okay, I think I noticed that in the first half, but I just left it. It's it's the repetition. It's actually I'm actually feeling it at this point. Okay, okay, it's you just have to like switch things up a bit, switch things up very very much, and make it shorter. Okay, make it way shorter so that we get to the chorus as soon as possible. Okay, so just do that, and I feel it's technically the same thing you did in the first half. Like I said earlier, with how you arrange your songs, make the first verse slightly different from the second verse. It just makes it stand out more. And I would not have probably felt the way I'm feeling now regarding this position. So I can feel the point of if I was listening to this maybe on Spotify or so, I would have I would have gone next quite a while back. Okay, because I'm just having this vibe of okay, kind of bored technically at this point. Okay, I need something more, I need something new, and it's not giving me that vibe. All right, so I believe the chorus is the next thing, and I should believe it's the same chorus that we just heard. But let's go ahead and play it and just round up. I like this. When you see more fuller. Funny enough, this track is actually really nice. It just needs a good number of work. Okay, first of all, in the arrangement, okay, how you arrange the track, the verses needs to be, it needs to tell a story. Let me just put it that way. Okay, it needs to tell a story so that you don't bore your listeners. Okay, go gradually. Okay, take out some of those instruments that come in frequently. At some points, take them off so that they can be like a contrast between what we are hearing and what is coming next. Okay, so we can feel that contrast right there. Okay, so that's something that can help. And like I said, for the chorus, it needs some more instruments. Let me just put it that way. Okay, I think you can just go ahead and layer some of like that main sound, that main chorus sound. I think is da 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 da. Okay, I think it can have a little bit more oomph. You know, layer it up with some other sound to make it stand out more and be fuller. Let me just put it that way to make it more full. All right, so I think that can work. All right, so I think that is that for this particular live stream. And well, thank God, yes, we had some. I don't know whether it's network issues with songs that were breaking. Okay, but it's nothing compared to how it was last week. It was very, very terrible. And network was really bad last week that I had to actually stop midway and could not complete it. All right, so, but well, I've come to the end of this one, and I'm so excited, guys. Most of the songs in this particular live stream were actually really nice, if not all. Okay, all were actually really nice. They just needed a few tweaks here and there, right? And I've had a very stressful day, so I'm a bit tired right now. All right, so that'll be all for this particular live stream. Okay, and I'm gonna see you again, hopefully next week Tuesday. Thanks, guys, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, okay, so that you get notified when the video drops or when I schedule it, and so that I can submit your tracks on time and then get booked for the live stream. Thanks, guys.